Okay, welcome back, and we're going to talk about who has the most control of agriculture in Central America. But first, you have to understand what banana republics are. Banana republics is a country that is run and it survives on one export product with a corrupt government. So we're going to talk about um, cicada and a little bit of dole, like barely anything, but we're also going to talk about the United Fruit Company and all those other stuff to answer this question of who has the most control over agriculture in the Central America. Okay, so first, in the early 1800s, there was a man named Andrew Preston, and he and Lorenzo Baker controlled the East Coast market of America and got bananas from the Caribbean. And then there was this other man named Minor C. Keefe, and they joined together to make the United Fruit Company. And then they together had control of the Caribbean, of buying bananas, and the southern part of Central America, and then they sold it to the East Coast market and the southern markets in the US. This is called the evolution of Chiquita, by the way. So, while Z. Murray played Emperor Palpatine, Order 66 may be no, okay, just do Order 66. Yes, sir. A year later, haha, with my men that Emperor Palpatine dude gave me, I am now the president of Honduras. It took a while, but we got it. So back with the United Fruit Company, they had quite a few bananas growing, and they were having some laborers working with low, like bad and low quality stuff, and they gave them different privileges because of their color. There's many races, and then people got mad at each other. They influenced each other to get mad at each other's race, and that caused them to not think about the poor work conditions and instead fight against each other. And also, the people of color had the harder labor, and the people of white had the managers and financial advisor jobs. And then they also, this is the United Fruit Company still, they also advertised about to try to get people to buy bananas in the US that they can come and tour it for they can come and tour Honduras because it is full of pirates' gold and also romance, whatever that's supposed to do. And then they were like, haha, you have to buy a banana. It's a souvenir. And they made quite a bit of money from that. But then the United Fruit Company got into some problems with Guatemala. So the Guatemalan president, Jacob Arbenez, decided that he wanted to have a agrarian reform to give back land that was owned by United Fruit to the poor farmers. And the United Fruit Company did not like this. So then they decided, we are going to the United States to ask for help. So Dwight Eisenhower, he had some stock in United Fruit, and so did some other officials, so that helped persuade him. But also they said that Arbenez was a communist. He was a commie. So then the U.S. decided to hire, with the CIA, civilian militias from Honduras to take over um, Guatemala, and start war. So Arbanez was very fearful, and he decided, hey, I'm going to resign. Goodbye. But then the victorious leader, Honduran leader of the militia, Castillo Armas, became the president of Guatemala with United Fruit's help. And the United Fruit wanted to make an example out of Guatemala, sadly. So they made the leader of the army, we don't have a character for him, so he's going to be a gun. So they made the gun be kind of like their puppet, so they could control it and use it however they liked. And that helped them have some advantages. And they had preferred treatment in Guatemala's ports, railways, and the fruit company just justified themselves for the media in North and Central America. So that was kind of sad. So the United Fruit Company later changed its name to Cicada, and nowadays it has 18,000 people as employees, or workers like farmers and managers and stuff like that, in 25 countries, with a presence of close to 70 countries too. And their brand had a blue sticker that has kept their quality and taste represented for 50 years plus, like more than 50 years. And it had Miss Cicada advertisement, which was created in 1944, which gave a friendly brand. But in 1987, she was humanized, so kind of weird. I did know that you could share a bunch of your DNA with bananas, but I didn't know there was that much. But anyways, the name was officially then changed to Cicada Brands International in 1990. So, yeah. And 10 million plus bananas. 10 million plus bananas have been sold each year. Each year. So that is a lot of bananas. So they definitely have a monopoly here, and Cicada / the United Fruit Company has been around for about 150 years old. Well, it's 150 years old. And really, the banana market hasn't really changed much since the 20th century, and only a handful of banana companies have had control of the banana market, which is about 80%. So that is a lot. And it allows them to have the best land, transportation, political climate growth to the bananas. So that's interesting. So they kind of control what happens exactly to if they are going to grow bananas in a certain place and if they're going to have a certain amount of workers there. So that's kind of like they control everyone. That is a little bit suspenseful and scary. Like, imagine living there and you don't really know where you're going to live, because you could be moved at any point in time. But in March 10th, 2014, there was a change. There was this other company that is related to the United Fruit Company. It's like a daughter, and it's called Fitz. Fitz joined in 2010 with Cicada and made it known that they are now Cicada Fitz. So that means they now have 29% of the 29% of the market, and that means like they have like the most control like today. Like the other 80% is like a different percentage. But they don't use racism and anymore, but they still exploit workers. They just don't use racial tensions for labor control. But there are now laws and regulations that moderate them, like Cicada and Fifths, and also including Dole and other companies that moderate them, but they still abuse their power and influence. And also, we see that Dole and Chiquita have both. Here's Dole. That's how you spell it, by the way, in case you didn't know. Dole and Chiquita have participated in cartels. So, kind of like, just think of Jabba the Hutt. Like, he kind of, like, has a bunch of men that do his bad and dirty work stuff for him. So they kind of, like, exploit the workers and the civilians and take bananas and money off of them. So, Guatemala's imports and exports have been growing over the past 25 years and even more in the last 5. Transportation costs for bananas to go to the U.S. is low, and in 2008, Guatemala has been the 17th largest agricultural supplier to the U.S. of bananas and plantains, beating the leading exports. So that means that they're making a lot of money for the U.S. the U.S. companies are making a lot of money, and the U.S. people are kind of like eating quite a lot of bananas. So, yes. And still today in Guatemala, they have done the abuse of workers' rights and get them underpaid. And especially women. Yes, women. They don't get paid as much. They are left with this much money. Well, not exactly. And the other people, like this man right here, who's the company worker, gets money after money after money. So it's a lot of money. And the normal men workers get barely paid much more than the women do. Okay, so it's kind of like a hierarchy of the fruit companies being up on the top and the workers. And the workers are the ones planting and growing and helping sell the bananas. But the fruit companies are the people that kind of control them. It's kind of like if you are in the U.S., you make the money. If you're not in the U.S., you don't really make the money. Okay, to answer the question of who has the most control over agriculture in the Central America, I have to say we didn't talk about Dole too much, but Dole has been doing probably like the same stuff. But I talked about 29% of the banana market is controlled by Cicada and Fifths. Well, like Cicada Fifths combined. So, I think the United Fruit Company, though, is the top one to win, because they have been, like, around for a while, and Chiquita was just, like, changed. And before they were doing worse stuff with the United Fruit Company, so they had the most control. But if we're talking about today, it would have to be Cicada Fifths, because Dole wasn't much to mention, didn't seem to do much things that were different from my research. I mainly researched Chiquita, and it said that it has 29% with Chiquita and Fifths, so I think they have the most control. But Z Murray, I don't even know what his company's name is, but Z Murray over here, he seemed to have some control, but not as much as Chiquita. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you learned more about the Banana Republics and Chiquita, and not much about Dole. And there are some links to sources in the description, and I hope this was good to teach you some impactful stuff. Oh, and I have to mention with the Jacob Arbenez and America. So America was in a little bit of trouble with the Cold War, so that's kind of why they attacked Jacob Arbenez that way. They were under like some pressure from the Cold War with Russia and the USSR. So like they were very agitated against communists. So that was why it was easy for the United Fruit to just spread propaganda about him and win. So thank you for watching. I know there wasn't much moving. I'm sorry this couldn't have been stop motion. I just had to get this done. And I love you guys. Please like and subscribe. And I think that is it. Just let me look through my many papers. I have a lot of papers here. Just like a lot of papers right here. Just a lot. And my like big script right here. So thank you for watching.